Obituaries now brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Funeral service for the Reverend William R. Jones, Jr., age 93, of Sylacauga, will be today. Visitation at Curtis & Son North from 1 until 2, with the service beginning at 2. Burial in the Talladega Springs Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, contributions in Mr. Jones's memory can be made at First Baptist Church of Sylacauga and also the Marble City Baptist Church. Online condolences at curtisonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Mr. James Strickland, age 55, of Sylacauga, died at Grandview Medical Center on Tuesday. Curtis & Son Funeral Home will announce the arrangements later today. Funeral service for Cynthia Cindy Robinson Moore, Stoutville, age 71, will be December 28th at 11 o'clock from Curtis & Son North. Visitation prior to the service, 10 until 11 o'clock at the funeral home. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing that service. And Ms. Stoutville died unexpectedly at the age of 71 on December 17th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, directing. Funeral service for Gloria J. Avery will be Thursday at noon from Harpersville Cemetery in Harpersville. Graveside service at noon on Thursday. Visitation is tonight at the funeral home from 6 until 8. Community Funeral Home, Sylacauga, directing. And funeral service for Ernestine Cricket Norwood will be Thursday at 1 o'clock from Liberty Christian Church in Harpersville, with burial in the Harpersville Cemetery. Visitation today at the funeral home from 1 until 8. Community Funeral Home, Sylacauga, directing. Funeral service for Lewis Edmondson, age 76, of Sylacauga, will be today at 11 a.m. from Fayetteville Methodist Church, with Brother John Limbaugh and Brother Paul Vick officiating. Burial in the Fayetteville Methodist Cemetery. Mr. Edmondson died December 19th at his residence. Visitation prior to the service today, 10 until 11 o'clock at the church. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. James Allen Burnett, age 35, age 35, originally from Sylacauga, died December 2nd at his home in Maryville, Tennessee. A memorial service for friends and family will be held January the 5th at 6 p.m. from Oak Grove Primitive Baptist Church, with Daniel Dean officiating at Oak Grove Primitive Baptist Church here in the Sylacauga area in the town of Oak Grove. Homegoing celebration remembering the life of Mr. David Jones, age 73, formerly of Talladega, is Thursday at noon from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel, with the Reverend Jerry Jones officiating. Interment in the Kelly Springs Memorial Gardens. Public viewing today, 2 until 7 at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory, Talladega, directing. Homegoing celebration remembering the life of Mr. Marshall Smoot, Sr., age 72, of Talladega, is Thursday at 2 o'clock from Rocky Mount Missionary Baptist Church, with Pastor Johnny Frank McKinney officiating. Interment in the Rocky Mount Church Cemetery. Public viewing is today, 2 till 7 at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory, Talladega, directing. Funeral service for Nancy Pauline Meemaw Harris, age 90, of Sylacauga, is Thursday at 1 o'clock from the Chapel of Radley Smith Funeral Home, with Reverend Mike Dankson and Dr. Wayne McDaniel officiating. Burial in the Union Springs Methodist Church Cemetery in Westover. Visitation is tonight, 5 till 7 at the funeral home. Mrs. Harris died December 20th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. And funeral service for Cadence Riley Lytle, age 5 months, of Childersburg, will be Monday, December 27th at noon at Radley Smith Funeral Home Chapel. Master Lytle died December 19th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Visitation is Monday, December 27th from 11 until noon at the funeral home, Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga, in charge of the arrangements. This obituary report this morning, courtesy of Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, and cremations since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.